Hey, what's going on, fam? So another video. Today I want to talk about white supremacy and the ADOS movement. The reason why I want to talk about it is because even though I've been bringing it up as far as why I don't trust Yvette and Tone to lead a movement like ADOS because they don't sufficiently understand white supremacy, I've had people show up on my videos, and more than one person now. And now I've blocked a lot of these people because they're real quick to get disrespectful, which kind of tells me something about them and tells me how sensitive they are about how they kind of know that they're stupid. Um, because they get real disrespectful real fast, and then I have to block them because I tell people, stop, don't troll me. I'm not here for a bunch of followers. I'm here for serious followers because I'm trying to help get our people on code. Of course, there's other people getting our people on code in different ways. Some people do it face to face. Some people do it via YouTube or social media, whatever. Uh, I've chosen to use YouTube and social media, but my goal is to get black people on code so we can be free of white supremacy. That's my my main purpose on almost any social media I'm on, whether it's uh, even though I really only use YouTube and Twitter. I've had like Facebook in the past, Instagram in the past. I still have an Instagram account, but I haven't used it in years. My Facebook account is deleted. Uh, Most of it is like 95% or 90% anti-racism. Like I'll share basketball stuff or some other things I may be interested in, but for the most part, uh, it's 90% anti-racism. Uh, but there are people who are showing up on my channels. One troll, and I'm going to name two trolls in particular. One of these trolls is one of the ones I had to block. He calls himself "I need my opioids, bro." You've probably seen him on other, you probably seen his comments on my videos before. He's always has like a troll vibe, but I kind of let him hang around. But I'm sick of him trolling my accounts, my page, so I blocked him. But I want to say what he said. He said um, anti-racism is trash. When I was pointing out, in my video critiquing Tariq Nasheed, I was pointing out how Tariq was sharing videos of problematic things that Yvette said, but of course I said Tariq shouldn't be doing that because there's people can easily do that to him and have done that to him. But because I even said that the Yvette Carnell racism is trash video or anti-racism is trash, let me correct that. Anti-racism is trash. He showed up on my channel talking about anti-racism is trash. As a matter of fact, let me find it. Let me find this troll's babble. Let me see what he said. Let me see if I can find this. I need my opioids, bro. Troll. Because I did block him, so I don't know if they, like, when you block somebody, they remove all their comments. Because I did block this troll. And maybe, it probably is gone, it looks like. Because I don't see. No, it's still here. So, yeah, here it is. She thinks anti-racism is trash is because it gets nothing done. What does that have to do with reparations? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Right? What does anti-racism have to do with reparations? Like, it's hard for me to believe that people are this stupid. So, and as a matter of fact, let me read my reply to him because I blocked and deleted his reply back because he started to degenerate into pure trolling. So, and let me see if I can't find it again. So yeah, here it goes. And I said, anti-racism is trash. Why does the ADOS movement exist if fighting against racism is trash? The immigrants enslaved ADOS are white supremacists. How about redlining? Was that white supremacy or Hispanic immigrants controlling the country? Was it white supremacists or Pan-Africans lynching ADOS in the pre-civil rights era? And then I said, the more you comment on my videos, the more you expose your stupidity. And again, with this particular dude, he's trolled on my channels before. That's why I said the more you comment on my videos. Now let's read another troll. His name is Les J. Now this troll commented under, both of these trolls commented under the Tariq Nasheed, my video critiquing Tariq Nasheed, talking about, why is he retweeting ADOS's MAGA? Now this troll says, white supremacy is not going anywhere. Let the white people worry about that. We got to focus on being better politically educated. That's what's going to get us in a better situation. All this no tangibles, no vote is trash. You got to vote. You see, this is why certain people are saying that the ADOS movement is a Democratic front. And I'm not going to lie, it's starting to look more and more like a Democratic front. Now, I'm not fully on board with the conspiracy theory. I still kind of consider it a conspiracy theory when people are saying that the ADOS movement is secretly a Democratic op, because it seems like people can't get their story straight about ADOS. Because on one hand, there's these Democratic trolls like Talib Kweli and Agent Ebro, who, again, Yvette Carnell and uh, Antonio Moore ironically allowed to bait them into attacking Tariq Nasheed, which I already talked about that in my exposing Antonio Moore and Yvette Carnell's fake outrage. You got these ADOS's MAGA trolls saying they're white right-wingers, and now you got people like Tariq Nasheed saying that they're secretly Democratic operatives. So nobody can get this straight, can get their story straight on what ADOS secretly is. But I will say, and that's why I can't buy into either side. I already know the ADOS is MAGA trolls. That's just a Democratic, that's Democratic shills trying to get us to uh, be scared of not voting for Democrats. But it's hard for me to really 100% dismiss or go along with the other side saying that they're secretly a Democratic front or a Democrat front. But when ADOS followers start talking more and more like we gotta vote, we gotta participate in this down ballot stuff, that is sounding real suspect. Now let me go ahead and read what I said to do when he said white supremacy is not going anywhere. Let the white people worry about that. We got to focus on being better politically educated. And this sounds like somebody who's learned from Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore, because like I've said in other videos, they don't sufficiently understand white supremacy. So of course they would say they would have people with this thought process about we need to be politically educated and forget white supremacy, forget anti-racism. We got to be politically educated. So let me read what I said to this dude. No, I don't. Because he said no tangibles, no vote is trash. You got to vote. And then I said no, I don't, as in no, I don't have to vote. What did voting do for Philando Castile or Tamir Rice? This is why Yvette and Tone and those who follow them are foolish and uneducated about the real problem. And then this dude goes into a tirade, calling me a dumb N-word. You know, he started talking like a white supremacist. He started talking like a slave master. N-word this, N-word that, dumb this, dumb that. He started talking, the inner white supremacist in him came out, even though he has a black profile page or a black picture. He's probably not even a black person, but if he is a real life black person, he still has a white supremacist inside of him. But he's probably not even a real black person. It's probably a white man trolling. But anyway, let me explain something to any of my ADOS family who still listens to my videos. White supremacy is the problem. The problem is not immigration. It's not lineage. Not like that. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that these aren't problems for black Americans. I'm not saying that these aren't issues for black Americans. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that uh, people aren't disrespecting our lineage. I'm not saying that our lineage isn't respected. I'm not saying that our lineage isn't taken advantage of. I'm also not saying that they're not people aren't using immigration, particularly the Democrats and liberal white supremacists aren't using immigration against us. But again, these are new symptoms of the same problem: white supremacy. First of all, white supremacy is why there are so many immigrants trying to get over here and not stay in their own countries. White supremacy is what's causing that. Because that one of the reasons why we have to deal with so much immigration or so many immigration problems is because so many people from other countries want to come here. Why do they want to come here? Because white supremacy is destroying their countries. White supremacy is ruining their countries and destroying the economy of their countries, and that's why they're trying to come over here in the first place. Number two, a lot of the reasons why they come and they are against us, even though a lot of them are black, like especially other black immigrants, is because they're trying to align themselves with the existing power structure, white supremacy. Let me go back a little bit. Let's go back in time, because Yvette and Tone are the main people who educated me about this, about how most of the immigrants, especially black immigrants in this country, didn't come here until 1965. So again, if you have even a basic understanding of history, you know that black people, black Americans, ADOS were here before 1965. Now, did ADOS have equality before 1965? I want any ADOS to tell me that. Did ADOS have equality before 1965? If we were offered reparations in 1960s, true reparations, will we have not deserved it because we didn't have we didn't deserve reparations at that time? Is that the case? Or is it the case that the ADOS case is built on our lineage since slavery and the accrued disadvantage? These are terms I'm taking straight out of Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore's mouth. What disadvantage did you accrue, and why did you accrue it, especially if this immigration problem and the erasure of ADOS lineage didn't start happening until 1965? What was going on before then? What accrued disadvantage since slavery was happening? White supremacy, fool. It wasn't immigrants enslaving African Americans. It wasn't Pan Africans enslaving African Americans. It wasn't the Republicans and Trump's DOJ enslaving African Americans or ADOS. It was white supremacists. The reason why we had Jim Crow was white supremacy. That's why they had a white only sign and a colored sign. They didn't have a white, Asian, Pan-African sign and then a colored sign or an ADOS sign during segregation. They didn't have a white, black immigrant, Hispanic immigrant, Republican, Democrat sign and then a ADOS sign over here during segregation. They had white and colored, fool. And the reason why I'm a little upset is because I hate that I have to explain this. But again, notice that Yvette and Tone never even say the words white supremacy. Now, don't get me wrong. I actually have heard them say the word white supremacy. But it's so much rarer than I hear from people like Tariq Nasheed, Professor Black Truth, Jason Black, these kind of people. Which is why, again, I say they don't sufficiently understand white supremacy. I'm probably going to make some other videos breaking down some of the other symptoms of the fact that they don't understand white supremacy. But this particular video is just discussing that it's confirmed that they don't understand white supremacy, and now it's being shown in their followers. Dude wants to say to me, what does Philando Castile and Tamir Rice have to do with reparations? Well, what it has to do with reparations is the fact that they're dead and they can't get them. So reparations and ADOS ain't do shit for them. Reparations and ADOS didn't do shit for Botham Jean. Being politically educated didn't do shit for Botham Jean. Being politically educated didn't do shit for Freddie Gray. And it wouldn't. Yo dumb ADOS ass, for any people who want to still argue with me about how white supremacy isn't the problem. If a race soldier decides to kill you, decides that he thinks that you have a gun, even if you don't, and you're the next unarmed black person to be killed, reparations and the 1866 Civil Rights Act and picketing outside the Supreme Court ain't gonna save you. The reason the ADOS movement exists is because of white supremacy, not because of immigration, Not because of Pan-Africans, not because of lineage, not because of none of that other, not because of being politically uneducated. It's because of white supremacy, fool. That's why you had an accrued disadvantage. White supremacy had you enslaved. White supremacy had you Jim Crowed. Now white supremacy has you mass incarcerated and being killed by cops unarmed. Among the other things, we can talk about the wealth gap and the middle black family being 1,700 and blah, blah, blah. All the data. I know all the data. I've watched Tone and Yvette more than enough times to know all the data. But what I understand that they apparently don't, and a lot of their followers don't, is that the data is a result of white supremacy. And this is the same problem I had with the Pan-African. And now I'm starting to see parallels between the Pan-African movement and the ADOS movement. It's all about sticking your damn head in a book and not facing reality, because that's what the Pan-Africans used to lecture us about. You haven't read the scholars. You haven't read such and such. You haven't read blah blah blah's book. You haven't read Queen Mother's blah blah. You haven't read Baba's blah 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 book. You haven't read this and that book. Even though I read, because again, I'm in my ADOS versus Pan-Africanism video. I talked about how I was a Pan Africanist before I joined onto the ADOS movement. So, but I had read a lot of those books. But when I see better, I do better. And I understand that sometimes you got to take your damn head out the book and face reality. Yes, it's good to read books and learn and be educated. I've read a lot of books. That's how I learned so much about white supremacy. Is by reading a book in particular called The Compensatory Code Concept, which I suggest if anybody listening to me hasn't read that you do read it. Now, I don't recommend going along with everything Neely Fuller says in that book, because I don't agree with everything he says. But it's a good foundation and a base to understanding white supremacy. If there was a white supremacy 101 course, that would be the textbook. It's called The Compensatory Code Concept by Neely Fuller. Because a lot of you ADOS people don't understand white supremacy. And it's shown. It shows when you show up on my videos making these dumbass comments. That's why I bring up Tamir Rice, because he can't get reparations. Yo dumbass can't get reparations if race soldiers are free to kill you. And that's why I say, even with the 1866 law, and people were trying to tell us that this is protecting our civil rights. Bruh, it didn't protect black people's civil rights in 1910, 1920, 1930. Do you know the kind of stuff that was happening in the 1910s, 20s, and 30s? White supremacists were running up. There were white people who would drive to the black side of town, knock on a black man's door, tell him to leave his house so he could have sex with the black man's wife. This is during segregation and all that shit. And the black man had to do it or risk the whole that white man's whole community coming down and killing him, not only him, but probably his whole neighborhood, and burning down his whole community. They didn't respect no laws. You think they respected contracting laws? They wouldn't even do contracts with black people. They had signs that would say whites only, this, that, and the other. They had signs and laws that said only white people can do this. Do you think that the Jim Crow laws were respecting the 1866 Civil Rights Act? That's why I question, why are we acting like this is the end all be all for black people's rights? And nobody, not one single ADOS follower, has given me a sufficient answer as to why the 1866 Act is all of a sudden the end all be all of black people's rights in 2019, but it wasn't the end all be all of our rights in 1919. Because again, if you understand white supremacy, you understand the white supremacists don't have to respect any law. White supremacy is their law. They don't have to respect no damn law. That's why Darren Wilson kills. That's why Officer Pantaleo kills and don't go to jail because they don't have to respect the law. It's already illegal to murder black people. We don't need a new police brutality law technically, but the reason why we would need some kind of special legislation against police brutality is because of racism. Why do we need affirmative action after the 1866 law? Since it's the sole thing that allows us to not be fired for our race, which is what some one idiot tried to tell me. Why do we need affirmative action after the 1866 Civil Rights Act? Because of white supremacy, because white people don't have to respect no damn law that they pass. Fool, do you know how many, speaking of Native Americans, since Yvette Carnell used to talk about how we need to give Native Americans reparations before ADOS, even though I know that was, she's probably evolved, but I'm being a smart ass, so forgive me. But speaking of Native Americans, do you know how many treaties they had with the white supremacists that the white supremacists just ignored? I can go on and on giving examples of how stupid it is to say that white supremacy has nothing to do with reparations or the need for reparate when it's the whole reason that you even need reparations. Because if white supremacy wouldn't exist, ADOS wouldn't have got off the ground. Not one person would have retweeted it. Not one person would have paid 2 minutes of attention to it because it doesn't. Why? What do black people? Again, this is what all the white supremacists and wannabe white supremacists say. Why do black people deserve reparations more than anybody else? What's been going on with them? Oh, that's right, white supremacy and anti-black racism. So for the leaders of ADOS to feel that racism is trash, which again, I know Yvette has most likely evolved on those things because I have heard Yvette mention white supremacy. I have heard Tone mention it, but it's a lot more rare than I hear from some other people. Why would you even need reparations? Why are you fighting for reparations? What's happening to you that's causing you to feel like you deserve reparations? It is white supremacy. And even these other non-white people that are working against ADOS, it's because they are trying to align themselves with white supremacy. Otherwise, they wouldn't come over here and be trying to undermine us like that. It's like, goddamn. And again, this gets frustrating because it's like, how stupid can you be? And I'm sorry, I'm not going to have no tact with this because we don't have time to slow this train down for every short bus Negro that wants to get on it and say something. Some of y'all got to be shut down and crushed because we don't have time. We just got to run over you. It's too late in the day. We 600 plus years deep into this system of white supremacy. We don't have time to play around no more. Like Yvette and Tone taught us, we're projected to have zero median wealth by 2053, which is again something Claude Anderson has been saying, not necessarily zero wealth by 2053, but he was saying that black people are going to go extinct. He's been saying that for years. And guess what? Having zero wealth is you going extinct. So that's Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore's way of saying the same exact thing that uh, Dr. Claude Anderson had been saying for years. It's because of white supremacy. Plain and simple, family. And I don't want to have to argue about this. And again, just know that this video is also fair warning and notice that if you come on my page talking about how white supremacy is not an issue or not a factor, I'm going to block you, and I'm going to consider whether or not to delete your comment. But it's a good chance I'm also going to delete your comment because we don't have time for that. That's not what we're here for. We're not here to argue with everybody about the existence of white supremacy and whether or not it matters. If you come on my channel being in denial about white supremacy, I'm deleting your comment and I'm blocking you. End the story. End the story. But anyway, fam, this is just another rant video. Like, share, subscribe. Peace.